For the longest time, if you were an enthusiast looking for a tunable, affordable Japanese sports car, you were pretty much left with no luck. Now that all changed back in 2012 when Toyota and Subaru came out with the FR-S and BRZ twins for the 2013 model year. Now over the years, both companies have given this car a series of updates, with the biggest update coming in 2017. So today, Toyota has loaned me a 2018 86. This one being here a new GT black trim. So if you guys are looking for an affordable sports car, is this vehicle still worth a look? That's what we're here to find out. When you're looking at a sports car, design is a very important aspect, and this is kind of where the 86 has definitely had more of a love-hate with its design, especially compared to the BRZ, which I think is one of the best looking cars. You can see this car has a unique front end to its own, and Toyota updated the front end in 2017. Some people either really liked it, or some people prefer the Subaru. I was on the Subaru bandwagon. I think the Subaru looks a little bit better, although you can't argue the changes to the front end do make this car look a little bit more unique. You have standard full LED headlights with an LED low and high beam, LED daytime running light, and LED turn signal. And then this trim, because it's the GT, gives you the LED fog lights at the bottom, which definitely give this car a much more modern appearance. You can see the front fascia here. It's got this fang kind of look here. It looks a little bit interesting. Again, some of you may prefer the Subaru Twin for its actual overall design. Now, this vehicle definitely is a great size and great proportioned car. It's very low and wide, which is what you expect for a sports car, especially with the boxer engine underneath. It gives this car a very low center of gravity. Now, these are the standard wheels that you're going to get. They're a 17-inch wheel. They haven't changed really. Toyota updated these wheels last year. They're still on 215/45 series tires, wearing these Michelin all-season tires, these premises, which again, they're a little bit tuned to allow this car to slide around. This is, why you may have purchased something like this. It's a rear drive balanced car. Now, in terms of the size, this is still riding on a 101-inch wheelbase, still around 172 inches long. I'm sorry, 168 inches long. So it's a little bit bigger than what you're going to find from like a Miata, but this is definitely more along the size of something you could easily daily drive, because it actually gives you a usable amount of space on the interior and the trunk. Now you can see at the back, it looks almost like the BRZ Limited. Aside from if you just cover up the Toyota badge here, you do get a backup camera as standard. You have these full LED taillights. And then I also like the dual exhaust in the back. It still looks great. Now, because this is the GT Black, you still got the black spoiler, but what Toyota did is they kind of added black accents on the actual connectors here that mounted to the trunk and then at the ends of the spoiler, whereas in the regular GT, they're actually just a regular body colored panel. Now the trunk capacity, this car is relatively decent. You're looking at twice the space of what you're gonna get in like something like a Miata, around 10 cubic feet of space. The trunk itself is a little bit on the shallow side, but the seats, they do not fold down, looks like in this model. Or actually, yeah, they do. I'm just kidding. They do fold down, but in one piece. And then underneath here, you do have a temporary spare tire, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. So one of the biggest changes I'm seeing for 2018 is the availability of Toyota's Smart Key Access System with push-button start. In the past, you had to get like a special release series version of the FR-S to get this function. This is the current Toyota key fob. It just has your traditional lock, unlock, and then the remote trunk. There's no remote start available on this one because it's a manual. You may be able to get that on the automatic version, but don't get the automatic. You want to get the stick. Now, approaching the 86, you can see here, it's got a little sensor pad on the door handle. Just touch that. It locks the door like every other car. To unlock it, Toyota does the sensor on the back. Just touch the back of the handle, and that unlocks the door for you. Now, looking at the interior, you can see this one also has the leather Alcantara option because this is the GT version again. It does basically just turn this car into a BRZ Limited in terms of the features and the tech. You have a height adjustable driver's seat with the traditional manual recline and sliding it forward and back. The seats themselves look nice. They have a really nice aggressive bolsters. The steering wheel also has leather wrap that you get on this particular trim. So it all still looks relatively nice. Now getting inside, the 86 is still very, very low, and you're going to notice that this actually feels lower than cars like a Miata to me. It just also feels a lot wider too. Now when you shut the door, it sounds okay. It definitely has a little bit of a tinnier sound, but when you want to start the vehicle up, like everything else, just put your foot on put the clutch in, and then push this button here to fire up the engine. Now the Subaru Boxer engine in this car definitely gives it a very distinctive growl. And it still redlines at a pretty impressive 7,400 RPM. Again, this is all part of the appeal of a naturally aspirated sports car. You have to rev out the engine to really get any power. Now, looking at the rest of the interior, you can see Toyota hasn't made any changes to it, aside from the fact of adding a couple of new features. You have a soft touch dash material here on the upper portion. This here is covered in a suede Alcantara. I like the Toyota 86 badge embroidered on the actual dash. That looks pretty nice. Moving over to the door panels here, you can see this is hard touch plastic over here, but you have a nice soft padded area with the Alcantara where you would rest your elbows. Down here it's also nice and padded. You have a little storage compartment here where you could put your phone and some other things. The windows are one-touch automatic up down for both front, which is nice. I wasn't expecting that, but you can see here the steering wheel. It's the same steering wheel on the BRZ aside from the 86 badge here. My tester, because it's a GT trim, it gives you that LCD display in the center stack. You can see to the right. Other versions, the lower trim does not give you that display. Instead, you have the older display here. You can kind of customize this display to show you a few things. You can change when the rev indicator is set, whether it's on or off. You can change a couple of the information. You have your trip computer, which is nice. You have an outside temperature display. You have a traditional analog speedometer to the left, the tach front and center, which is nice. One thing that this car doesn't have that annoys me, no one-touch blink, one-touch, 3 blink for the turn signals. Most cars, if you just tap this down, it'll give you 3 blinks. Not this car or the BRZ. This is 2018 Toyota and Subaru. Come on, you should have that feature. I know I'm kind of complaining about something that's a little silly, but when you get used to having that in a lot of new cars, which every new car has, it's a little crazy that this car doesn't have that. Well, another thing I want to complain about is this head unit. This is the same head unit that I hated in all the Scion products. It doesn't even have satellite radio, no Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto, no factory nav, which I believe you can get as a dealer accessory. And again, you have these little teeny tiny buttons here that are decently labeled, but again, it just looks so aftermarket. The sound system itself in this car is a little bit tinny. It's nothing really to get excited about. And in general, Toyota just needs to scrap this and put their all-new Entune 3.0 system in this car, especially considering a lot of younger buyers want this, and we want connectivity. We don't want this aftermarket looking head unit that's just awful, that doesn't really have any features, that has a really, old looking display. It's just it's the most sour part of this car, and it's why I'd probably just get the Subaru version, or if you guys want to take this out and put an aftermarket system, you could certainly do that. Now when you put the vehicle into reverse, again, because this is so old, there's no backup camera on the screen here. Instead, it's up in the rearview mirror. So again, another reason why you might want to go for the Subaru. I do like the fact that there's now dual zone automatic climate control. There is heated front seats, which is nice. Over here you can see you can turn off your traction control there or put it into a sport mode where the vehicle will let you kind of step out a little bit more. My tester having the 6-speed manual, lovely because it's got a nice short throw on the shifter, a little bit notchy feeling. Reverse is kind of accessed by pulling that up and then going there. The clutch itself is really short travel, which is nice, but it's a little bit vague at times. I'll go over that again in the test drive, so that's nice. You have a traditional handbrake here. No armrest here, which is a little annoying, but you do have nice amounts of storage. You have, an area here where you can put your cup holders and whatnot. The 86 also has a pretty decent sized glove box, which is damped, lined with felt. And then the seats, I found them to be comfortable, but if you guys are a little bit bigger, more wide, you may not find these seats to be truly comfortable. Sunroof is not available on this car, but it does give you plenty of headroom. So, overall, the interior is probably the most dated aspect of this car, and it's really just a head unit away from being a lot better. But overall, the interior is relatively nice, and Toyota has made some good changes for 2018. So this car has a back seat, and even though it's pretty much reserved for packages or people you don't like, I'm going to show it to you just to humor you guys a bit. Now, getting back here is not too bad. Just pull on this little lever right here. The seat will kind of cantilever itself forward, and gosh, getting back here, okay. It seats 2 back here. Oh, but okay, so the seatbelt kind of gets in the way. Headroom, actually, my head is touching the ceiling, but I thought I'd have to do like this, like in some cars that I've tested, but let me just move the seat back really quick. So it actually will stop there to give me a little bit more room, but again, if you want, you can move the seat all the way up. But you can see the floor is kind of high, my knees are kind of up, but it's definitely not what I would say comfortable. It's decent. You could probably get away with holding one person back here or really small children, but at least the 86 gives you the backseat option, so you can kind of argue that this is a little bit more practical to use than something like a Miata. So with any sports car, power is often a heated argument of debate, and the 86, unfortunately, has not changed in the power department since this car was really introduced. Well, actually I lied. Toyota and Subaru added 5 more horsepower if you guys got the manual transmission model. But this one being the stick shift model, it gives you that extra 5 horsepower boost. You can tell this has the manual from under the hood because it has the red painted intake runners. This is the only engine trim to get the red intake runners. It adds 5 horsepower. So what you're gonna get, it's a 2-liter Boxer flat 4 with the direct and port injection system from Toyota. It makes 205 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. Those are actually pretty decent numbers. That's a little over 100 horsepower per liter. However, this car weighs around, just under 3,000 pounds, and really it's all about the torque curve. This engine has been notorious for having a very flat mid-range, and Toyota and Subaru said they kind of addressed it for 2017. I didn't really see that in the 2017 model that I drove, but this one being the 6-speed manual, these are only rear-wheel drive. Fuel economy hasn't really changed. It's rated at 21 in the city and 28 in the highway. You should probably put premium in this car. I think it's what's recommended. But let's get out on the road and see how it all performs, shall we? So we all know that the 86 and BRZ are definitely starting to get old, and it's been a year since I've driven one of these things. Listen to that, man, there is something so satisfying about driving a car with a naturally aspirated engine. It's definitely a joy to do that. But all that said, how does the 86 drive, after a few years on the market? Well, this car definitely is a very sports car oriented car. It's a very stiff feeling car, and I'd forgotten just how stiff. This thing easily rides much harsher than the current generation Miata, than something like a Civic Type R, harsher than a Volkswagen GTI. This is like Focus RS harsh at times. The ride quality on this car is extremely stiff, and it makes daily driving a little bit of a chore. The noise in here, just the lack of features, when you get out on the highway like this and you're cruising, I have it in 6th gear right now, it's 67 miles an hour, it's over 3,000 RPM, so it revs pretty high. And because it has very little torque, like this is floored right now in 5th, I have to go to 4th to really get any power to pass. This thing has very little mid-range power, and in the world we live in with all the turbocharged engines and whatnot, this is a little disappointing how it is sluggish feeling at times, for sure. But if you can get past the lack of mid-range grunt and start revving the engine out, come on, there we go. It is a satisfying noise. I mean, you have to love the sound of a Boxer flat 4. It makes a decent noise, and this one doesn't have the TRD Sport exhaust option, which I'm kind of glad it doesn't have that, because I found it to be very drony sounding when you did have that exhaust. And in general, this car's driving experience, basically is almost in like killer racetrack attack mode all the time. And that's the problem with the 86 and the BRZs. The car just never really settles down into a nice cruise. I mean, now I'm, cruising along here at 70. It's a 60 mile, 6th gear. I'm above 3,000. There's a lot of road noise. There's a lot of engine noise. There's a lot of wind noise. It's very stiff. The seats are pretty comfortable for me. They do hold me in place nicely, and the visibility is good in this car. You can see out of it well, which is good that it is, because there's no driver assistance on this car. Nothing. No blind spot, no automatic braking, no lane keep, no adaptive cruise. It just has a backup camera. That's pretty much it. This is a very honest, pure sports car, and for some of you, that could definitely be a good thing, which I personally like. However, with modern cars today, I expect a couple of, tech features in here. Like, for example, I hate how this car doesn't have the one click or one tap 3 blinks for whenever you're changing lanes. It's very frustrating that a 2018 car is missing that feature. But the steering in this car is a joy. It's still super quick, super direct. It communicates so well every time you turn the wheel, which is great. And the suspension, because it's so stiffly tuned, it stays nice and flat in the corners. I mean, if you guys are going to be taking on ramps and off ramps, just kind of downshift the car. And you can see here, going to 4th gear on this off ramp, the engine doesn't really sound all that great now, but the steering is so direct, the chassis feels nice and stiff. It's just not a very smooth car. This car has a little bit of a learning curve to kind of get everything right. Like, to get the smoothest right. The gear shifter in this car is super notchy. The clutch is vague. It's a relatively more difficult car to drive on a daily basis. I also wish it had a gear position indicator in the instrument panel, even with the bigger 7-inch display. It's still missing that. But yeah, I mean, when you're basically always just driving aggressively or on like curvy roads, the 86 is great. It's just when you want to take it onto like normal roads, that's where it kind of sucks. Come on, come on. But yeah, this car still takes like 6.5 seconds at least to get to 60, but because it has so little torque, it feels slower than that, but you can chirp into second. The back end still feels really tail happy, which is, you know, what you like with this car. It's what's so appealing about it. But it's just not a very refined car. And I know I'm complaining about the lack of refinement, and some of you probably don't give a crap about that if you're gonna be purchasing one of these cars. But you know, at the end of the day, you still have to drive this thing, you know, take it to and from work. You need it to be a comfortable car from time to time. You need to be able to put people in the seat, in the passenger seat. And honestly, if you guys are looking for something a little bit smoother, there are better choices on the market, but few of them offer this much levels of fun and engagement and visceral enjoyment as the 86 still does. But man, Toyota and Subaru still need to add more power. And I know, you know, in this type of car, it's not really the case, but what's the biggest problem with this motor is basically the mid-range grunt. It has very little torque, and you just feel kind of disappointed as you're going through the gates because it has very little passing power. But I know some of you may not care about fuel economy too much, and this car is definitely rated to get worse gas mileage than some of its competitors. And in my week's worth of testing, I've been averaging around 21 miles per gallon in mostly city driving, which is, you know, not great, but for the way I drive it, it's kind of understandable. On the highway, I got it up to about 27 miles per gallon, so it's definitely in need of better fuel economy, which they could definitely work on for the next generation. But listen to that. Listen to that noise. You just can't beat that. You can't beat that, but this car definitely still has a lot of flaws. It's a little rough around the edges, but it'll still easily put a smile on your face if you guys are looking for a simple sports car that won't break the bank. So as new cars continue to become more and more like computers, driving something so analog and visceral like the 86 is definitely a refreshing experience. As you guys saw, this vehicle is still one of the most fun to drive cars you can purchase for around $26,000. The 6-speed manual, while it's not perfect, still has a little bit of the notchy throws and a little bit of an imprecise clutch. It still is a very satisfying experience. The engine, although it is still kind of lacking in power, when you rev the engine out, and if you're okay with, you know, a little bit of a lack of torque, this thing still kind of makes you work for it. So it's very much a pure sports car experience that a lot of enthusiasts are still looking for today. Now, Toyota, the changes Toyota has made for 2018, the new trim, the GT and GT Black, it's basically a BRZ Limited with those features, except it still has that crappy Scion Toyota head unit. So until Toyota kind of gets rid of that head unit, I would probably say just get the BRZ version of this car because it has the better Subaru Starlink with the Apple CarPlay and the Android Auto versus this car. But other than that, you're basically just getting a Subaru BRZ Limited with, you know, a Toyota badge in the front and the back, and then some unique styling elements. So if you guys are looking for an affordable sports car, what's going to cost to put one of these in your driveway? Well, over the years, Toyota and Subaru have also been increasing the price slightly. A base 86 now starts at around $26,500 plus the destination charge. The GT version is going to cost around $28,500, so $2,000 more, and it gives you features like the leather, the heated seats, the push button start, the dual zone climate control, and then that screen in the center display. This one being the GT Black, it doesn't cost any extra to go for the black accents like the black mirrors and the black spoiler pieces here. This one with destination is around $29,000, which is about $5,000 cheaper than the average new car transaction price today, which makes this car still a relative bargain. But I have to say the interior for me has not aged well with that horrible infotainment system. But if you guys are looking for an aftermarket system, you may be able to just rip that out and put something a little bit better. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2018 Toyota 86 GT Black. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.